And just like that, the NBA is a completely different league. With only a day or so left before the 2022-2023 NBA season trade deadline, it was looking like it was going to be one of the more mild deadlines in the past few years. Kyrie was finally out of Brooklyn and headed to the Mavericks, and the Lakers picked up Rui Hachimura. All that sounds fine until around 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 9th, the day of the trade deadline. For the next 12 and a half hours, the Woj bombs and sham reports did not cease fire as the entire landscape of the NBA proceeded to change within half a day. Starting off with undeniably the biggest move this deadline, Kevin Durant now plays for the Phoenix Suns. The Big Three Nets era is officially over after winning one playoff series. They fell short to the Bucks, they were demolished by the Celtics, and all in all, they played 16 games together total. Now the Nets have returned to their 2019 selves, being young and mildly entertaining. Mikal Bridges scored a career high the other night, and the vibes feel overall pretty good. I'm impressed the Nets found a deal so quickly. It was nearly a guarantee that KD wasn't going to be a Net by the summer, but I'm not sure how many people predicted he would get moved before the trade deadline. A lot of this has to do with the Suns' new owner, Matt Ishbia, who was really aggressive about pushing for this deal. And what do you get? Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant in the same starting five. Phoenix automatically jumped to a title favorite. A lot of people have them coming out of the West or winning it all, and Kevin Durant has yet to lace up for the Suns. It's a mega offensive W, but defensively, the aforementioned Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson were not some scrubs or average role players, and their presence is seriously going to be missed. That being said, KD's defense has been no slouch, potentially being the best it has been in his entire career. Plus, they still have DeAndre Ayton, so it could be much worse. I have no predictions, especially because KD is an aging star that's injury prone, so with the amount they've staked in him, he could go down and this entire thing could blow up. But the mid-range mafia is going to be dangerous. The full trade is Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 first-round picks, and a 2028 pick swap for Kevin Durant and TJ Warren. Sticking with that trade for a second, one of the more underrated moves that happened was Jay Crowder getting shipped to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks gain a veteran, championship-level wing who's been resting the past half season, and not enough people are talking about how scary Jay Crowder could be in Milwaukee. Not him individually really, but as a piece that's a crucial layer of depth to an already really strong Bucks team, and yeah, this is a great pickup for them. Milwaukee gave up 5 second-round picks, a reoccurring theme you'll find this deadline, 3 to the Pacers and 2 to the Nets. Indiana also got Jordan Nwora, George Hill, and Serge Ibaka from the Bucks, as well as cash considerations from the Nets. I don't really have much to say about how this helps the Pacers, or if they'll even keep these guys, but hey, they have some tradable assets. I'm sort of going to rapid fire through the remaining lot of them, quickly noting on anything worth mentioning, and then we'll call it a day. Going first to one of, if not the biggest winners at the trade deadline, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers acquired D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt from the Timberwolves, Malik Beasley from the Jazz, Davon Reed from the Nuggets, Mo Bamba from the Magic, and I mentioned them getting Rui Hachimura from the Wizards a few days before the deadline. They shipped out Patrick Beverley to Orlando, Thomas Bryant to Denver, and Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson, and Damian Jones to the Jazz. They finally parted ways with Russell Westbrook. There's a great chance Russ doesn't even play for the Jazz and he ends up somewhere else, but the time has finally come. I don't want to hate on the man too much. Russell Westbrook did not play great basketball with the Lakers, but he isn't a bad NBA player suddenly, and I do feel bad for the level of criticism he endured. Not because he wasn't doing anything wrong, but because a lot of the hate he got was often misguided, spiteful, and personal. The Lakers are competitive again. Actually, they still aren't magically one of the best teams in the West. At best, they still have to prove that, and they have a really deep hole to dig themselves out of. But they went from a team bordering on not making the play-ins to now, if they can string together some wins and build momentum, they could end up as a 6th seed, avoiding the play-ins entirely. Some enthusiastic NBA analysis on TV are saying the Lakers could be a Western Conference semifinals team, and I think the roster is now capable of that if they get that perfect run of health and consistency. 2 things that characteristically plague this team. Circling back to Russell Westbrook, it's looking more and more like he could be on his way to the Clippers, and if that's the case, I think that's a really strong acquisition for the Clippers, another team that has made quite a few trades this deadline. They added Bones Highland from the Nuggets. I know Denver fans are sick. Eric Gordon from the Rockets, and Mason Plumlee from the Charlotte Hornets. Don't sleep on Plum Dog Millionaire. In the process, they got rid of Luke Kennard, sending him to the Grizzlies, and sent Reggie Jackson to the Nuggets and John Wall back to the Rockets. Oh man, this league is cruel. This is a net positive for the Clippers, adding a decent center, bench scorer, and an exciting young player with lots of upside while getting rid of just a few rotation guys. Luke Kennard going to the Grizzlies is also a move not being talked about much, but him and his almost 45% 3-point shooting percentage are going to be welcomed warmly in Memphis. And quickly, the Grizzlies sent Danny Green to the Rockets as part of that deal, but then he got moved again, this time to the Cavaliers. He's 35 and only played 3 games of the season before getting traded, and it's not like he was offering much before that for the past few seasons, but it's Danny Green. He's a champion and can shoot the 3 ball. Maybe he'll be helpful. I don't know. Next up, the Utah Jazz traded Mike Conley to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's played quite well in his first few games there. His veteran leadership and presence is something that could really be used by this team, and he's needed even more by the Wolves since they shipped out D'Lo, a solid guard in the league who just never really fit in with their system. Now we've got a 4-team trade wombo combo that has the 76ers receiving Jalen McDaniels from the Hornets, as well as their 2024 second-round pick, and a 2029 second-round pick from Portland. Speaking of the Blazers, they received Cam Reddish and Ryan Arcidiacono, as well as a 2023 first-round pick from the Knicks, and Matisse Thybulle from the Sixers. The Hornets received Svi Mikhailiuk from the Knicks, as well as a 2023 second-round pick from Philly, and a 2027 second-round pick from Portland. And finally, the Knicks also received Josh Hart from the Blazers. With that mouthful out of the way, I like the Knicks picking up Josh Hart. He's played really well so far, and they're 3-0 since acquiring him. Side note, that's the 6th seed being ours again. The Knicks are coming for blood. Outside of that, I don't really have many strong feelings about most of these moves, other than the fact that the Blazers gave up 2 second-round picks and Josh Hart to get Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, a bench guy, and a first-round pick. That's a major win in my book. The Celtics landed Mike Muscala from the Thunder in return for Justin Jackson and 2 future second-round picks. I didn't think much about this initially, and it's because I wholeheartedly was not familiar with Mr. Muscala's game. He's a 6'11" stretch big with an absolute strap from downtown, and as a career 38% three-point shooter, he's yet another stone in Boston's infinity gauntlet of three-point shooting. To get on a tangent really briefly, the Celtics are an absolutely dominant basketball team and do a lot more than shoot threes, but they can get into a place where they are living and dying by the 3, and when it's not falling, they can tend to offer little imaginative offensive creation outside of those shots. Just something to keep an eye out for, but if they continue to build up a roster of physical units with aimbots, then who's to tell them they can't play that way? There's actually so many more trades that happened this deadline, but the last few I feel are worth mentioning are the Pelicans' trade of Devontae Graham and 4 second-round picks to the Spurs in exchange for Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson is a solid ball player. You gave away Devontae Graham and 4 picks though. It's not really moving the needle on either side. And lastly, in another 4-team deal, the Warriors sent James Wiseman to the Pistons and received Gary Payton II back from the Blazers, as well as 3 conditional future second-round picks from Atlanta, who are themselves sending Kevin Knox to the Blazers and receiving Saddiq Bey from Detroit. And also, the Blazers are getting 5 future second-round picks for Gary Payton II. It's another convoluted web of trades that helps some more than others. The Warriors are pulling the plug on their number 2 pick from 2020, and it was a sad saga not seeing him being utilized much, but also not seeing him develop nearly as much as the potential that was supposed to be there. Hopefully he'll get more opportunities to play and grow in Detroit. The Warriors get back GP2, someone they shouldn't have gotten rid of to begin with, and now they've had to pay a boatload of picks to land him again, and that's just a bit of an L on Golden State's side. But he's an essential championship-level defensive glue guy, something that's been desperately missed by the Dubs this season. And the Hawks are getting an inconsistent but sometimes electric young forward who's a great athlete and a really solid defender. In his first few games for the Hawks, Saddiq Bey's played almost half the minutes he's used to with Detroit, and he hasn't shot great outside of a handful of threes in his first game, but I have hope he's able to find a rhythm and be a consistent plug for Atlanta. And that's it. At least all I'm going to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I was trying to get this video out even sooner after the deadline passed, but it actually played in my favor because moves are still being made around the league. I mentioned Russell Westbrook, who's been in talks with a handful of teams, specifically the Clippers, about a buyout situation, but it looks like Kevin Love will be departing from the Cavaliers, and it's rumored the Suns could be a favorite for landing him. It's just insane to see how quickly the entire landscape of the NBA has shifted. A few weeks ago, the top-heavy Eastern Conference was sitting as the side with more title-contending favorites, and now several players have been moved, which has made the West even stronger than it already was. The Western Conference is insanely open right now. The 12th seed is within 3 games in the wins and losses columns of as high as the 4th seed, and the Suns have suddenly emerged as a favorite to go to the finals, while teams like the Lakers, Grizzlies, Warriors, and Clippers have retooled their rosters to become even tougher competition. I can't emphasize enough how excited I am for the NBA playoffs. I'm licking my chops thinking about all the potential matchups and storylines. Suns versus Pelicans rematch, Suns versus Mavericks, KD, Kyrie, Luka, Booker battle, the Lakers versus the Clippers possibly, the Kings simply being in the playoffs. The 2022-2023 NBA season has been everything it's promised to be and more so far. barring the unfortunate reality that injury and load management present. The league is going to be super interesting to watch post All-Star break. As I said, the NBA is just so close and competitive right now. Well, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.